Hi, and welcome back to another episode. I'm Mike Quincy.
I'm Jake Fisher.
And I'm Alex Nizick.
So this is the last podcast of this calendar year. Don't worry, it's not the last podcast. Just looking back on 2021, this is the final one that we've got going, and we saw a lot this year when it comes to cars, automotive news. But the best news, and this is great for people who are fans of Consumer Reports, is despite the supply issues, despite chip shortages, difficulty getting cars, we kept testing. We didn't miss a beat. We kept going and kept going and kept going. So that's good for all of our Consumer Reports members and fans out there. But looking at the year in whole, we kind of do the cars that we love driving and cars that we very much did not love driving. The year-end look is always real popular with people that watch and listen to Talking Cars. So, Alex, let's start like on the downside and on a high note. Okay. But can you tell us something, cars, if that's the case, that did not stir your heart this year?
Yeah. Potential consequence of going first, so I hope I don't steal this from anybody else. But the one that came to mind first has got to be the Polestar 2. I just was pretty let down by that car, to be honest, for a number of reasons. And none of it really had much to do with the fact that it's an EV. So, that part's great. The EV powertrain, a lot of power, all that is great. It's more about the ride. First of all, if you want to talk about driving dynamics, that car's ride was just needlessly stiff and choppy. I didn't really even quite understand it. I don't think that car needed to be this really stiff, hardcore, crisp handling sports car. It just didn't make a lot of sense why it rode so rough, and it kind of brought the whole driving experience down. But even worse for me personally with that car was the infotainment and controls situation in that car. And yes, we did have some other poor examples of that come through. But this one just in particular, it was the first car we saw with this Google-based infotainment system, and it just brought a lot of complications, I'll say, on top of Volvo's existing system that already doesn't score that well in our tests and, is generally not that user-friendly. And then we added on all this Google stuff to it that just didn't really seem to offer much benefit and kind of made the whole experience even more cumbersome and frustrating and difficult and distracting. So, it all added up to a car that was pretty disappointing, especially when you have the promise of this new brand coming along and, EV for their first car. So, I don't know how y'all felt about that one, but it wasn't my favorite.
Well, Jake and I can remember when Polestar used to mean really fun to drive fast Volvos. And I have this sinking feeling that this is not the last time we're going to see the Polestar as one of our worst lists. What do you think, Jake?
So first of all, we don't actually discuss our picks before we have this filming, and we actually discuss it here. But it was mine too, Polestar 2. I mean, that was just really disappointing. And Mike, you're right. I mean, in terms of Polestar, I mean, that should be like the performance version. It would be like if, Mercedes-Benz came out with an AMG vehicle, and the AMG 2 was like this really tiny little uncomfortable, bad controls, doesn't ride well, doesn't handle well vehicle. It just doesn't make any sense. And it shouldn't be hard to make a good electric car. I mean, we see how to do it. Tesla's been doing this for around, a decade already. And look, they've got cars that are comfortable and they ride well and they're roomy and all these things. And this Polestar, it feels cramped. I mean, it's got a stiff ride, but it's not sporty. The handling isn't all that great. The controls are kind of a mess. I mean, they're not really capitalizing on all the things that an electric car should provide. And at that price, I mean, there's just so many better options. So, that was underwhelming. It could have been great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, Jake is right. We did not talk about this ahead of time. We need to keep it fresh and exciting and new. So we do hold
Don't
back.
Tell me you too.
What we talk. Well, listen, the Polestar certainly was the most obvious choice, and I scribbled down notes about why I disliked it so much, but I'm going to switch it up just a little bit to make things interesting. My disappointed vehicle for 2021 was the Cadillac Escalade. Not because it's
too small. Too small for you.
You
felt cramped.
But it's like GM certainly wanted to fill that void of a luxury SUV. That they redesigned the Suburban and the Tahoe. They used the same platform. The 6.2 liter V8 in the Escalade is a gem. It's a wonderful engine. What killed me about the Escalade was the ride and the handling, which I didn't think were as good as the Tahoe. I mean, this was an example of like, if you want a big SUV, I wouldn't even bother with the Escalade because the controls were different. They were more complicated. I felt the ride and handling were much more detached than the lower priced Chevrolet models. I drove the Escalade on the track to shoot the B-roll for it, and it just felt like it was falling all over itself. And I understand you don't buy an Escalade and think, I'm going to take it to a track. I get that. But we take all of the models that we buy for testing, we put them on the track, we see what happens. I had the Escalade for a long Memorial Day weekend in 2021, drove it out to the Cape and back. Yeah, lots of room inside, but I couldn't wait to get out of it just because I found it so boring and dull to drive, and there's just no way I would spend that extra money just to have the Cadillac brand, to have the slightly fancier interior. And this is advice to anyone out there that thinking that they want a big GM SUV. I would definitely go for a Tahoe instead of the Escalade.
Well, I'm sure Cadillac will be very upset when they hear that, as they continue to sell that as their top selling model and make a whole lot of money on it.
Each over $100,000.
Listen, I didn't say I was smart. I just said I didn't really like it. I mean,
it's an interesting point because I think one of the biggest differentiators with that Escalade versus the Tahoe and Suburban is the availability of Super Cruise, right? So if you're not really concerned about that or you don't want it, then yeah, the Tahoe and Suburban, you can get those in such a high trim now that are so luxurious.
True.
It's a great point, Mike.
Right, but I mean, you guys are right too. I mean, Cadillac's having no problem selling this. It doesn't matter what Mike Witze on Talking Cars says; they're gonna sell a whole bunch of them anyway. Hanging out with you guys is like being married. My wife's like, let me explain again how you're wrong, but that's okay. I'm used to it.
The market will say you're wrong. You don't need me. I mean, the thing is ridiculously big, and so and not to completely mock you here, Quincy. We'll save that for later. But
I'm used to it. I'm used to it. It's okay.
It comes around. I know. But it's like, it's so huge. And what's kind of frightening about it is, you've got a lot of this distraction entertainment, right? I mean, you could have a video, you could tune your gauges and turn them into a video screen of what's in front of you. And I'm like, wow, that is so distracting as I pilot this second house of mine, I mean, it's like, wow, when you're driving something that large, you really need to be engaged because, I mean, there's not a lot of room on each, side of the lane. So, in a way, you're right, though. I mean, a Tahoe is probably maybe a little bit of a safer bet.
Again, back to the marriage analogy. In a way, you're right, but technically, I'm going to find you wrong. But anyway, we're not talking marriages. We're not talking marriage counseling. We're talking cars. So that's kind of a look at the ones, the models that kind of disappointed us, ones that were not fighting each other to get to. Yeah, this is all could be three brothers fighting for the last cookie. But speaking of the cookies that we liked this year, what were some of the models that really got your blood going?
So, Mike, don't be mad at me for this. I'm going to choose a couple and group them together. So don't be upset. But
and yes, I'm probably going to do the same thing. Go for it, Alex.
So I wrote down here the BRZ.
Escalade, right? No.
That would have been awesome. And I would have totally brought that up if I had actually.
That would have been awesome.
I love the way it drives. So I wrote down the BRZ specifically with the manual transmission. It could be the GT86 Toyota as well, but I wrote that down. And these are very different. Mercedes S550 that we rented. We didn't buy, but we rented. and then the new Bronco. And they're all obviously completely different vehicles. But the reason I am saying all those is because they each stick to their mission in a way that is like, doesn't compromise, right? A lot of cars now have to be such, they have to be everything to everyone, right? So many cars are so good and competent at everything to please everyone, and that's great. They're great vehicles for it. But these three that I've named are, the BRZ is this little inexpensive, fun to drive sports car that is rough and loud and, not that practical. But it does all those things really well, and it's now in its second generation and hasn't really given up any of that. The Mercedes S550 has no intention to be sporty. It is just a couch on wheels, and it is so cool to see when you engineer a vehicle to the extreme like that, how quiet it can be, how comfortable it can be. That car has a ton of gimmicks too, but it was just really cool to see what that extreme luxury end can look like. And then the Bronco, is just that off-road machine that, maybe in terms of comparing it to a Wrangler, it's a little bit compromised, but it really sticks to its off-road and rugged mission and doesn't, try to be the most luxurious or sports car vehicle as well while doing those things. So I just think it's really cool when you get these vehicles that come along that really stick to that mission that they're set out to do.
I think that was a great way to look at this, the criteria of what the manufacturers designed the vehicle to do. And I'm just going to take a really crazy flying guess right now. But the Bronco is also going to show up on other people's or other publications. We read a lot of the buff books. I'm sure the Bronco is going to show up on 10 best lists all over the place. But let's turn now to Jake, who, of course, is going to say now that he also loves the Escalade.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, Alex, hats off to you. The philosophy of it, I really like the kind of way you broke it down, true to its mission. That's good.
He's way too smart for us.
You're way too smart. I was just going to be like, this car's fast. I like it. No, but part of me wants to say Corvette, because the Corvette is look, Chevy made a Ferrari this year, they were like, hey, let's make a Ferrari. We made a really good Ferrari. I guess maybe I learned I don't want a Ferrari, especially if it's an automatic. So, look, I love the BRZ and I love the GT86. They're so much fun, so engaging, but I don't know if I want to necessarily drive it every day. To me, was a car that we borrowed and we rented, the Cadillac the Cadillac CT4 Blackwing, a car that basically no one's going to buy. Let's just throw that out there right there. So we borrowed this vehicle, we rented this vehicle, and it is phenomenal, and it's kind of like the best car that people aren't going to experience. But you talk about everyone, being true to its mission, right? The Cadillac, the Mercedes-Benz is really, quiet and a couch, and the BRZ is really sporty and engaging. The Cadillac does both amazingly well. Yeah. It is so engaging to drive. The steering feel is amazing. The shifter and the clutch actuation is beautiful. It's almost like you're in a Mazda or a Honda, still with hundreds of horsepower. It is a car that I would be happy driving every single day in the rain. I don't care. Bad weather, good weather. It is just amazing what they are capable of in terms of tuning a vehicle that can seat four, that just drives like a sports car, but is quiet and comfortable too. It just reminds me of older BMWs. It reminds me of an E39 BMW, right? In 20-year-old 5 Series, which I think was the higher watermark of BMW. But it was just engaging and natural and comfortable, and just it almost, makes you sad. Look, electric cars are coming and they are really fun too, but not quite in the way a stick shift, where you really engage with the powertrain. It's kind of I guess my, kids and their kids aren't going to really see that anymore, which is kind of sad.
Mm-hmm. No, I just had almost a moment of silence because the Blackwing, the CT4 Blackwing, is also my pick for the best car that I drove this year. It is kind of the last of a dying breed. And I fear that people are going to buy these and put them in a garage and wait to show them on Bring a Trailer or some other website and sell it. And Jake, you're right. This car needs to be driven. Just to allow me to fill in a couple of details, is a 472 horsepower, 3.6 liter twin turbo V6. The one we rented definitely did have the 6-speed manual transmission. GM, when they really want to do it, man, do they do it. And you look at the comparison that you're making between the Corvette and a Ferrari. It's a very fair comparison. It's not a crazy thing to say at all. And what strikes me about the CT4 Blackwing is we had it the same week that we rented a BMW M3, and I think by far the Blackwing was the staff favorite. I think most of us just gushed over this car way more than the M3. And the Cadillac actually costs less money. So I mean, this is an awesome accomplishment by General Motors and Cadillac. I can't. If I talk about it anymore, I'm just going to wind up repeating what you said, Jake, because the car is so awesome. It's not as ferocious as the Corvette, but it is much friendlier. It's much more usable. And I'm also sad that cars like this are probably going to be going away soon. And that's too bad. And I do need to say, Alex, I had honorable mention the BRZ in the '86. Nice. If I were just out of college, that's what I'd want. Yeah. I would want a car like that because it's no compromises. It's noisy. It's hard to get in and out of. But when you're younger, you don't really care about it. As it is now, I want something a bit more comfortable, a little easier to get in and out of. But there simply isn't like a better stock car, like straight from the factory, that is such a good track car. I mean, you almost have to do nothing to these small rear-wheel drive models to make them track worthy. Maybe you put on different tires or upgrade the brakes or something. But boy, these cars are so well dialed in right from the get-go that's kind of one of the reasons that I think they're so amazing. And I hope anyone that buys the BRZ or an '86 takes them to the track and really experiences what we're talking about.
Well, I was going to say that when they go to the track, you know what they're going to see? A whole lot of Miatas. So, I mean, we also don't forget that. I mean, that's still an amazing car too. But it is great that there's not just one. You know, there's other choices.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, and you said that there's a little bit of sadness there, a moment of silence for these types of cars when talking the Blackwing about them going away. But, maybe a moment of silence for the fact that this year we had, I think, 6 cars come through the track with manual transmissions almost back to back. The BRZ, the Blackwing, the M3, a Civic with a Civic hatchback with a 6-speed, GTI. I don't know. That is amazing to me. And it feels like a proper send-off, at least,
well,
our spoiler perspective,
and we're not quite done yet. I mean, there's new entries coming out. I mean, the Civic Si, the GTI will be testing one of those. Subaru WRX coming along. So I mean, we're not quite done yet. So at least yes.
Right, but it kind of puts in perspective, where we are in the automotive world, not only for 2021, but going forward for the next few years. This year with the global chip shortage, and we're not talking Doritos or Fritos, we're talking the real important chips that make everything run. And we had our own struggles here at the track, being able to buy cars. They were tough to come by. And Jake, I know that you've done a fair amount of media about this topic. And when people need to buy a car, they want to buy a car, and they're facing these issues of supply, what's your advice for them?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are asking, should I buy a car? Is it a right time to buy a car? And I keep on saying, no, don't buy a car. And there it is. Consumer Reports is saying, don't buy cars. I mean, it's kind of funny. I mean, you're not going to hear a lot of this because we're kind of unique because, we're paid by members and our viewers and all that. We're not, our business model isn't getting people to buy cars, which a lot of things that you look on the web, I mean, most of the car information is they're trying to make you buy a car. We don't have to make you buy a car, and we're going to tell you, it's like, don't buy a car right now. It's hard to get the one you want. If you can find it, you're not going to be able to negotiate generally, and you may be actually paying over sticker. It's a terrible time right now. And even if you can't find it, sometimes the equipment's not there. They're actually taking equipment, won't come with power seats. Or if you buy a BMW now, like they take away their touchscreen because they don't have the chips to run that. So it's a weird spot. And so what do? Well, if you already have a car, keep it longer. Some people have asked things like, well, when should I stop putting money on my old car and it's just cheaper to buy a new car? And I've crunched those numbers, and the answer is never. It's always cheaper to keep your old car and just keep it going. I mean, even if you have some serious problems with it, a new transmission or something for your old car is still going to be way cheaper than, the average price of a new car. I mean, we're in the 40s now. And the depreciation you hit is just like horrible. So, if you could hold on to your older car, even if it's got, 100,000 miles or more, you're going to be better off economically holding onto the car. Now, obviously, new cars are safer and new cars aren't going to, leave you stranded as much. But when it comes to money, if you could wait a couple more years when, maybe next year, maybe in 2023, when things actually get sorted out, you're going to have more options. You're going to have maybe negotiation. There's a lot of really exciting new cars coming on the market too, that you'll have those options with. So that's the advice, I think.
Yeah, the caveat being that keep your old car running unless there's serious structural integrity issues. If the frame is rotting out or something like that, then I'd say, this is
well. You're exactly right. If it's a safety issue, but right. Here's the thing about it, right? It used to be that way. Like in the cars in the 80s and 70s, right? The cars rotted out. The truth is that if you have a car from like the early 2000s, chances are it's not rotting. It probably has a fair amount of safety equipment already on it. There's plenty of cars out there with 100,000, 150,000 miles that are actually still have a lot of life left in them.
Right. Yeah. And for those of us that like old cars, like I'm a fan of old Saabs, and it's rust. It's rust. It isn't the powertrain. It's the rust that's the issue. Alex, I don't know if you're a chip fan or like every day should be the Super Bowl because hey, we get chips. But you've had some struggles buying cars for the test program as well, right?
Yeah. So right now I'm trying to buy the 2022 Toyota Tundra that just came out, and I think I have called just about every dealership within a reasonable radius of us. First of all, the problem is that each dealership is getting allotted such a small amount, even a pickup truck that, these sales numbers are generally higher. They might only get 1, 2, 3 at the most at a time. And I've found that, people are just beating me to it somehow. These people are paying for these vehicles sight unseen. And, without even all the information being available yet, you couldn't even go on the Toyota site and build it and see what all the options are and see what the final pricing was going to be. But it didn't matter. People were just buying them, over the phone. And we're not talking, base work level vehicles here. We're talking, nicely equipped mid $50,000 pickup trucks that people are just buying without even knowing the details. So, yeah. And then, another vehicle that's proving a little troublesome is the new Audi Q4 e-tron that should have, in theory, have already been at dealers. But, even if they're not super transparent on what's going on, they just don't seem to be trickling in at the rate that you would expect. And, maybe one dealer has one allotment or none at all. So, yeah, it's just been definitely a bit more challenging than in the past to locate and actually secure one of these vehicles.
It's kind of like shopping for a house in like a hot real estate market. I mean, we're so used to like, going in there and trying to get, $1,000 off or $500 off. Now it's almost like that hot real estate market where you're like, if you're not coming in over the asking price, you're going to lose it. and it's going to be gone. And that's, it's hard to adjust for that, but it's like, if you're in the market right now, I mean, we've even seen this where we're like, hey, can we get a little bit under sticker? And then they call back and they're like, oh, it's sold now. I mean, this is just a horrible market to be buying a car in.
So I want to throw this out to you guys in terms of supply. So, my memory of the auto industry is that the car companies would almost always build way more cars than they could sell. Hence, you had all of these incentive programs. They got to put money on the hood to move the metal and stuff like that. Do you think that the car companies are going to look at these last, 12 to 18 months and say, maybe we should scale back production going forward and just kind of sell more of the cars that we can put out instead of, loading up the dealers' lots with tons and tons of cars?
So I think it's not so much about scaling down production, but I think it's about inventory. So what I think we're going to see is a structural change where we're not going to see these lots filled with cars, but they're going to build what they need to sell. And what that may mean is that there's going to be more people who are actually ordering their vehicle to build, which has got pluses and minuses. I need a car now. I want to pick one off the lot. But the plus about it is it's kind of like ordering something online. I get to get my exact equipment that I want. I want the safety equipment, but I don't want the big wing or something. And I get the colors I want. And then it gets built. And I mean, a lot of vehicles, even, foreign name-plated vehicles are actually built in the United States. So, I mean, they could actually build them and get them to you pretty quickly. So I think that's what we're going to see. We're not going to see this giant, what do they talk about? With a 3-month supply of this car. We're not going to see that anymore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, Alex, you spent of the three of us, you most recently worked in industry. Now, do you agree with Jake's assessment?
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting take on it. And, I think with the Ford Maverick, that small pickup truck, we saw them basically come out and say that the base model that actually made the headline for that truck so exciting, that it's going to come with this standard hybrid powertrain and get 40 miles per gallon. And, they're not going to stock that on the dealer lots, as at least that's the plan right now, right? That's going to be something you have to order. You can't just go and pick it up. So, maybe we see the highest volume movers kind of packed in at the dealer lots like that. But then anything that's not, selling right away is something that you have to order. So yeah, I do think that it'll be surprising if we just go right back to where we were. I think that's safe to say, at least.
Well, I mean, so if the dealers are getting closer or over MSRP, isn't that more money in their pocket? So they don't have to be wheeling and dealing, and you could get it cheaper from the same Toyota dealer down the street or something like that. I mean, I know the factory gives the factory to dealer incentives, those private things that the consumers don't always hear about. But I guess the reason I'm reflecting about this is the first new car I bought was a 1987 Honda Civic Si. And back in the 80s, Hondas were super, super hot. And the dealers had no inventory. And so I went in, I thought I was a big, smart college grad, and I was ready to negotiate. And the salesperson just looked at me and said, listen, the price and the sticker, that's what we're selling it for. And if you don't want to buy it, I got somebody else that will. And so I paid sticker price for it. But I think that wasn't a chip shortage. That was my impression of Honda really keeping a tight inventory.
A lot of demand for the car and not a lot of supply. I mean, the one bright, I'll leave you on this, is that one thing, again, in industry, inventory is evil, right? I mean, you don't want a bunch of inventory, you want just in time. And the truth is that if we just purchase what is built and we don't have this oversupply and all these cars on lots, the truth is that you wind up getting a lot of the cost out of the production. So theoretically, they should be able to have a less expensive car if they don't have to have these huge inventories of cars that are just sitting there wasting money because of the inventory. Whether or not they pass it off to the consumer, I don't know. But I think, and again, I think Tesla has been kind of innovators here. Everything's built to order, and the consumers who are buying Teslas are pretty happy with that. So we'll see what happens in the future.
Okay, well, 2021 is in the books. 2022 we're yet to be seen. But please know, Talking Cars fans, that all of us here at Consumer Reports love buying and testing cars. We love driving cars. And certainly, we love talking cars. Thanks so much for tuning in all this year. Look forward to more episodes of Talking Cars next year. And we'll see you next week.